Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What's up, everybody? We're back with our tutorial series. We are back working on our Zelda action adventure / Mario platformer, whatever you want to call this kind of game. I think it'll be more of a platformer. Okay, so today in this episode, we're going to work on I kind of thought about what I wanted to work on, and I always like to get my character moving first. It's kind of like the fastest thing you can see working. So we're going to work on our input actions, our input mapping, and we'll see if we can get our animations, or at least our basic animation started as quick as possible. And we should be able to do that since we have, a framework to look at already. So let's see what we already got. Let's open up this. We're going to create, back to my BP. We're going to call this player character. We're going to do a new folder. We're going to name this characters, new folder, or just name it characters for short. We're going to put player in there, move here. Gotta kind of keep this all cleaned up. Characters, player character, key. Well, why have I got a duplicate right here? Oh, there's nothing here. Okay, we're gonna get rid of that folder. Delete this folder. Object reference. Cancel. Oh, what is it referencing? Delete. Okay, force delete. I don't think it's referencing anything. Okay, player character, Aki. Alright, so we're gonna do something in here. We're gonna do a blueprint class. And not blueprint class, my bad, excuse me. It is called what is it called? I can't remember. Input mapping context. And we're going to call this my underscore IMC. My IMC for underscore. My underscore IMC for input mapping context. We're going to open this up. And this is basically where we're going to control basically what our inputs are. If you can see for this, it's got the input actions that are already created by Unreal Engine on the starter content. Let's go to the actions. Move, look, and jump. See, it's up here. And then in here, it sets what keys or controller bindings they should be. So we're going to go ahead and have that. And now we're going to go back into characters, player character. We're going to get into a new folder and call that controls. I don't have any symbols in there, do controls. Oops. Name that controls. Move here. My MC. Then we're going to do input again. We're going to do input action. And we're going to call this MIA. That's for my input action, not missing in action. Underscore. And we're going to call this jump because I want to go ahead and do all the basic ones again. And actually, you know what? We'll copy what we already have. Because, there's no sense in not copying what already works. We're going to make it as simple as possible. So let's go back here. Input action, jump. And then we're going to open up ours. My input action, controls. And we'll probably clean up the folders later. I just want to have it somewhat decent, I guess. Input action, jump. And we'll do triggers. One trigger will be on pressed, and then the next trigger will be on released. So whenever you press the button down, it triggers, and then when you release, it triggers it again. All right, so we're gonna do another input action, MIA underscore look. Open this up, and it needs to be a 2D vector, and we're always gonna copy what works. Actions, oops. Input action look. And there are no triggers for this, so we're not going to do any triggers either. And honestly, there is no triggers that I think would even work for down, hold, and release pressed. Well, I guess depending on what you need, but for us, we don't need any of these. So no. We can go ahead and close this. Okay, on this one, it says input action move. It's the same thing because it's also the other. They both operate the same way, like looking and moving both would involve the sticks or, a vector. So we're actually not gonna do move because I don't want to be able to move the camera. For my game, like you don't want to follow tutorials step by step unless you absolutely have to, and then even then you shouldn't absolutely have to. You should learn what you need to learn and then modify it for your own use. So we're gonna do input action MIA underscore roll, because I'm not gonna move the camera for my game since it's gonna be 2 players sharing the same screen. I'm gonna have the camera move, I believe, on a spline through the level as me and my stepson walk around because we're gonna play test it together. So MIA roll. Then we're gonna do axis 2D vector, and I do want this to trigger. I want it to trigger on I would say tap, but we might not need it for now. We'll just leave it as nothing for now. We'll come back if we need it, because if we don't need it to tap, we should be able to just. I'm thinking because once it gets the input and it knows which direction to roll in, I could make it where if you double tap in that direction or anywhere similar to that direction, you'll roll in that direction. And then also I might not need to do double tap if there's no camera function. So we'll see what's easiest. We'll just play test around with it. Okay, so we got that all set up. Now in my IMC, we're gonna do the jump, MIA jump, space bar for that, and then we're gonna use A on the actual, excuse me. We're gonna use A on the actual Xbox or PlayStation controller. And that's going to be not that. Oh, let's go ahead and set it. A. That makes things a lot easier. I've been using Unreal Engine 4 a lot, if you can't tell. So let's go ahead and do that. Boom, boom. I set it as the face bottom button, which is A. Another MIA. We're going to do MIA look. Okay, so I thought about it for a bit, and I was kind of thinking about how I wanted it to work, because I wanted the roll to work on the right stick with the controller, but doing it on keyboard and mouse, which I'm not going to be really even using keyboard and mouse, because I'm 100% going to be using 2 controllers to play this game. But still, I wanted to, be able to test it with the keyboard and mouse to keep it simple. So I mapped it to the same thing as the look, as the mouse thing. And I know it's kind of, don't want to do that, but I got an idea. So what I'm thinking about doing for keyboard and mouse, even though I'm still not going to use it, I still want to be prepared to be able to use it if I play it by myself and don't have a controller available. You can right click and hold down, or possibly I'm most likely going to do a button or something that you hold down to enable rolling for keyboard, and then whenever you move your mouse in that direction, it'll roll in that direction. So yeah, we'll see how we do it. I'll just leave it as that for now, but I'm 100% going to be using a game controller to play this. So let's keep moving, and I'll add one more input action just to be prepared for that. MIA roll. We'll do MIA. We'll duplicate this one, MIA jump, and we'll call it MIA enable roll in case we need that. And then we'll see press and release. We'll leave that the same. Press and release should definitely be the input for that. Okay, good to go. So now, boom, 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 boom. MIA roll. New input mapping. MIA will say, what did I call it? Roll. I'm having a brain fart. Roll. MIA roll. Oh, wait. Oh, wait a second. MIA roll. What is I added? Okay, there it is. Wait a second. Delete. MIA roll. New mapping. There we go. New mapping. Enable roll. Enable roll. Trash that. We'll say shift. Left shift. I think left shift is a good spot for that. Left shift. And that's good. We don't need any modifiers for that. Boom. So we're all good to go. Let's go back into our Aki character. Let's go up a folder. Aki. Block, block. So we're going to set this up very similar to, almost identical to how the third person character is. I mean, whatever. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, as I say. But some things we aren't going to keep. So we're definitely going to keep this part. We're going to cast to the player controller, enhance input local player subsystem, and add mapping context. This allows us to control the player that we're playing as. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. Might as well just copy it just like that. Okay, so I added basically all of the blueprint that you see from the built-in third-person character. I just copied it all and pasted it because, I mean, it's already functioning, so there's no point in changing it. We'll modify some things as we go. So I copied this. This is basically going to give us control of our character. It casts to the player controller, and then it adds the mapping context for this character that we're using, and we're going to change it from the INC default to ours, my IMC. Now this we aren't going to need because we don't use input action look. So let's get rid of that. That would be for the camera input as it says. Okay, so quick correction. I had to go back and change this. I accidentally made this MIA look, and it's supposed to be MIA move. So let's go back and fix that. I realized that as I was going. I was like, why do I have 2 as the mouse? That's why I have 2 as the mouse. The move is not supposed to be on the mouse. That was my fault. I made a mistake. Let's get rid of that. And we'll change this to W. There we go. Why do it like that? W. Change that to W. Boom, 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 boom. Let's start his modifiers. Swizzle. Input access values. We're going to add another one. Add S. And then modifiers, we're going to do swizzle as well as negate because it's the opposite of our W, or backwards, our back input. Negate. Boom. Add another one. We'll do D. I don't know why I did it like that again. D. And then that's going to be fine. And then we'll do, oops, did it again. A. And this will be negate. Boom. So now we're all set up. I was wondering why I was getting confused earlier, thinking about why I have the mouse and the move set to the same thing. But okay, I fixed it. Let's go ahead. Now we have our input all set up how I want to. So now let's go back into our Aki character. And now everything's going to make a lot more sense. So IA move, we're going to swap that out with MIA move. We're going to do this. We're going to split our action value, split struct pin, so we can get the X and the Y axis. So now we can combine it again. X, make sure I got it in the right spot. X, boom, and Y, boom. X and Y set up. And now let's go ahead and connect it. Okay, so a quick explanation is going to get the controller rotation, get the right vector and add it with the X. So add it in that direction, and then it does the same thing for the Y-axis, and it adds it to the yaw right here. And it adds to the movement input. So here we go. Now we're going to swap this out, MIA jump. Now ours is going to be a bit different, so let's delete this. We'll delete this, and I added a print hello string just to test something out. MIA jump. Triggered. We started. But we're actually going to do something different for the completed, because the completed, all right, let's do I'll show you why I did this test, because I did it on the third person character right here. I added this hello. So I'm going to change this because this is what it does. When I jump and I hold the space bar, nothing else comes up. But when I let go, the hello fires off because now it's completed. So I don't want to do that because I may want to have a function where we can press and hold, or press and hold the jump to charge it and then let go and he jumps. So I don't necessarily want to do it off of start. So that's why I changed that. So let's open this back up. Go to Aki, and we want it on completed. to jump. And then triggered. We could charge. We'll mess around with it. We'll leave it the way it is for now because I want to at least have it functioning. But once we get it to where we want to do our super jump or any kind of extra moves, I'm going to go back and change that. So our look, we don't need that. We don't need this at all. None of this, the camera input, because I'm not doing it like that at all. And then I believe we have everything set up. Let's get rid of this. We don't need none of that. Boom. MIA roll. And we'll get rid of that. Split struct pin. And that's good for now. Okay, so now we're going to do one other thing. We're going to do blueprint class, game mode base, my BP or my game mode. Open this up. We didn't need all that. So this is basically what controls our game, you know, as it states. The game controller, we want to use the default pawn as our key. There we go. Player controller. All of this can stay the same for now. And then we're going to go to, but to make it go into effect, we're going to go into our settings. Not world setting, project settings, maps and modes, and our default game mode will be my game mode. So then when we play, instead of spawning in the default mannequin, it'll spawn in our character. Or not. Let's see what I did wrong. Okay, everybody. I figured out the issue, what was going on. Okay, so what happened was it was overriding my game mode right here because I had it set to, or the level was set to the third person game mode. So we're going to switch it to our game mode. Select game mode class, my game mode. Then we hit play. And it is working because we're inside of our character. And also he's moving like how we want him to. And he's able to jump. The camera's not working because obviously I disabled that. But he is moving and he is in the game. And the reason why it looks like this is because I realized I didn't set up his camera. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and go back to his character. Blueprint. Where is he at? Characters. X. Open up our page again. Where is he at? Okay, Aki. There we go. Viewport, and we need to add a camera. So the way that we're going to add this camera, we're going to do camera. Add camera. We're going to call it just camera. We're going to add a, what is it called? What is it called again? I can't remember. It's not called a camera boom, is it? That's what I was looking for. Boom. Oh. It's called, what is it called? The technical name of it. Spring arm component. There we go. Thank you. This is why we use what we got available. Spring arm component. And we don't want that attached. We want it this way around. Boom. So now the camera's at the end of that spring arm. And then we're going to move the spring arm up a bit. And I'm not going to keep this camera either. Because like I said, I'm going to use a level camera that moves around as the players move. But this is just for visual purposes. Play. And now, as you can see, we have our character in the game. Alhamdulillah. So let's see. What time are we at? All right, we're going to do one more thing, and then we're going to stop. Because I just checked the time of my recording. We're going to move him down a bit because he's not touching the ground actually at all in our game. So we're going to go to the main. We don't have to. If you do this individually, like go to the head or something and move it down, as you can see, it'll mess everything up. So we need to go to the root of everything at the top and move it down just a little bit. Maybe -90 should be perfect. Compile and save. And mashallah, we got ourselves our working character. Forgive the lag. It's only lagging because I'm recording as well. But yeah, so we did a little bit. I was kind of all over the place. Sorry about that. I'll try to get more organized the more I go on with the tutorials. I'm kind of, just like as we said, we learn and we make, so we're going together. And I have a little bit of a idea of what I'm doing, so I'm not just going completely, crazy. But yeah, so that was enough for one tutorial video. If you have any suggestions, if I need to go back and clarify some things, Or if you see if I made any mistakes, just let me know in the comment section. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Assalamualaikum.